Hello, welcome to another video presentation of Chesslecture.com. I am International Master Attila Turzo from Hungary. In this lecture, I would like to show you the process of how to find a goal in the middle game and how to build up a plan, a sequence of moves to get that goal, and then look the steps how we can go closer and closer to the vision, and at end position how to win the game. I played this position with white in the last tournament in Budapest. It was an international master tournament. My opponent was a FIDE master. So let us look the position of white and let us look the position of black and try to find a goal for white and try to find a goal for black. First, we will look the position of the kings. Both the white king and both the black king already castled, so they have a safe position behind the pawns. So very nice position for both kings. So if you look this, then we can say the position of is equal about the position of the kings. Next, let us look the position of the pawns. If you look the position of the pawns on the king side, it looks similar, and if you look also the position of the pawns on the queen side, it's also the similar. But if you look the pawns on the C, on the D, and on the E file, there will be difference, because white has pawns on C4 and on E4. Those pawns move 2 squares from the starting square, and black has pawns on E6 and on D6, so they moved only 1 squares. If you compare this position of those pawns, then we can say white has space advantage. White has space advantage in the center and some space advantage on the queen side, because on the c5 white has more space than black has. This can give us some ideas about a goal which we can try to reach, where we have space advantage in the game. In that side of the board, on the board, we can attack most of the time, because of the more space we can maneuver easier. So in this type of position, a typical goal can be for white to win more space on the queen side, for example with b4 and then with a4, a5, and by winning more space later to get an advantage on the queen side. So that can be one goal for white. Let me find one other goal for white, because in the game I played another goal, but that was, I think, also logical. Another goal can be if a player has control in the center, so has space advantage in the center, like now white has space advantage in the center, then he can also decide to attack on the other side, also where he has no already space advantage. So if you look on the H, G, and F files, white still have no space advantage, but because space advantage in the center, white can decide to win more space on the king side, like with F4, F5, G4, G5, and have more space, and white can use the space advantage to attack the king, the black king. So in this position, my vision was, I imagined the position when I give the mate for the black king. So that was my vision, to give a mate for the black king. That was my goal, to give a mate for the black king. And when I figured out this goal, then I started to create a plan, sequence of moves, how can I get that goal in reality. I decided to realize that goal, I need to win more space with the pawns, and then I need to, so I would play like f4, f5, g4, g5, and also I need to attack the king with pieces, so I decided to develop later the queen to attack the king, and also I was thinking to move later maybe the e pawn also to opening the diagonal for the light bishop, and maybe later use the knights to help for the bishop, like with knight d4 or knight d5, and then go to the king's side with an attack. So we have the vision and we have the goal for white, which is to attack the black king. What could be the vision for black in this position? I think the goal for my opponent could be to try to win space on the queen side by a6, b5, maybe to attack on the c4 pawn, and then try to get counterplay on the queen side, or try to play d5 to attack in the center, attack the c4 and the e4 pawns, and opening files for the black pieces, the d5, the e5, or maybe for the diagonals for the bishops. And also can be important plan for black to try to stop the white attack on the king side. So maybe later black can play e5 to block the bishop, the d3 bishop diagonal, or sometimes knight may come to e5 to block the bishop, or try to even capture the bishop on d3. Okay, so the black vision is the basic idea of the black vision is to counterattack in the center, and counterattack on the queen side. The white plan is attack on the king and attack in the king side. So what can be the first? We will look how I could proceed with this plan with white, and we will look how black tried to prevent the realization of the plan, and he did it well in many moves, and he had also a good chance in a moment. We will look. And how can we start the building up the plan on the goal to attack on the black king? I started with a pawn move to win more space on the king side. So I played f4 to win more space and control important squares, also opening the diagonal for the f1 rook, maybe, which can be later very, very powerful piece. f4 also important to control e5 square, to preventing the black knight to move to e5. So after f4, black continued the development, and he played b6 to preparing bishop b7. From b7 the bishop would have the d6, d5 counterattacking move in the center. In this position, all of the white minor pieces already developed, and now the next important thing to do to try to develop the queen and the a1 rook, and to build in the development of those pieces to the plan. So to use those pieces also to help to get an attack on the black king. I moved with the queen to f3 with the idea to play later on h3, and from h3, so this is a very typical and very good method, I think, to use the queen to attack on the queen side. So from d1 the queen goes to h3 to attack two targets, to attack on e6 which can be after f5 sometimes a target, and also from h3 is the queen looking on the h7 square, which can be have a combined attack by the bishop. Queen f3. Black played bishop b7, developing his last minor piece, and tried to get counterplay in the center with d5, or be ready to get counterplay. Now I can decide to develop with the queen to h3, or first develop the rook, and I decided that move with the rook. I played to rook d1. By this move I wanted to prevent the opponent from successfully realize his counter-attacking plans with d5. So you can look, I follow two ideas. I want to realize my plan on the attack on the king side, but also I want to prevent my opponent to realize his plan. So these two things is, in most of the games, are very important to stop the opponent to realize his plan and build up our plan to realize. Sometimes we can play one move or two moves in our plan, and then we should move one move to stop the opponent plans, or sometimes we need to concentrate first stopping the opponent, and then we can continue our plan. I was feeling it's time to stop the d5 move, and also now all of my pieces moved at least one move in the opening, and only the f1 rook not already moved, but because of the f-pawn move it's already well placed. So every piece has a good job, and now the next step is to improve those pieces. So rook ad1. Black decided to develop his queen, so he played queen c7. Also now his rooks are connected and ready to support the future plans. Now how can I continue my plan to improve the position of my queen? I played queen h3. I think on h3 the queen is better than on f3, because now it's attacks on e6 and also attacks on h7. So queen h3. Black played rook d8. I think to be ready to play d5 and maybe later d4 if white allows it. Also important part of my plan, I wanted to be ready to save my bishop. So if black would attack the light bishop, for example, with knight b4, I wanted to play bishop b1, because I think the bishop is very important to have the attack on h7, because now threatening to play sometimes e4, e5, and then if the knight is attacked on h7, it's threatening to give the mate. Example, if black try to win the pawn, so if he captures on c4, then may be possible to play e5 with the idea of attacking the bishop, attacking the knight, and the knight cannot move, because if the knight moves, then what would be the good move? Yes, white can capture on h7 to give the mate. And realize the plan, the original plan, to give the mate for the black king. So you can look how simply it can be realized if black helps. So if black don't play the best moves to stop the white plan's realization. But black did not allow me to play e5 in this position well. So he played rook ad8, then I was thinking what to do next, and I realized I still have time to decide when is to play e5 now or f5 now, and I wanted to be sure my bishop will be safe, on a safe place. I played bishop b1 because I wanted to be ready to play e5 without losing time. So if black plays any time now, knight b4, I don't need to move my bishop because I already moved to b1, and then I have one extra tempo to play e5 or f5 and continue my attack. So now e5 is a real threat. I think in this moment, maybe black could play e5 to stop my plan to play e5 and try to build up a defending position. But this move would have also disadvantages. This would have the advantage of blocking the b1 bishop, but this would have the disadvantage of weakening the d5 square. And after knight d5, I think white would have a strong position, because it's not possible to capture, because after now I could capture with the e pawn again, opening the diagonal and threatening with mate, and also the c6 knight is hanging. So he decided to play g6 with the idea of blocking the bishop. G6 is good for that idea, but also it has a disadvantage. What is the most important disadvantage of G6 move? After G6, the h6 square became weak, and also black lost control on f6. In this moment, I had the idea I was thinking, how can I continue my plan? How can I continue to bringing new pieces close to his king and try to give the mate? My idea was to try to exchange pawns, exchange the f and the e pawns. So without those pawns, the bishop would have been very strong, very powerful, and also the rook on the f5, and the queen is still, or the king is already very good on the h5, but maybe after f5 and sometimes exchange of the pawns could be very helpful also in the h3, c8 diagonal. So in this moment, my idea was to exchange pawns, because by exchanging pawns, we got new files to open and also open diagonals. And those files and diagonals can be used to go closer to the vision, to go closer to the dream position, to attack the black king and give the mate. So I played f5 to offering an exchange of pawns, and also by f5 I attacked the e6 pawn. Black need to solve the problem of the e6 pawn, and he decided to exchange one of the pawns, so he decided to exchange the e6 pawn, and after this move it's no more hanging, but it's very important. I think I was feeling it is already I realized one of the part of the goal. So a short-term goal I realized, because after exchanging the e4 pawns for the e6 pawns, the diagonal of the b1 bishop is nearly open. So after this exchange, anytime I will capture on g6, the bishop's power will be even stronger than before. And maybe sometimes I will be able to sacrifice the bishop even to try to open new files and diagonals to attack the black king. After the exchange, black played knight e5, which I think it's a good move because the knight can support the defend. So the black knight can defend the g6 pawn and also f7 pawn. So knight e5 is a typically good defending move. After knight e5, I was thinking how can I use maybe the very powerful position of my f1 rook, which can be used to attack on the f6 knight after the exchange of the pawns, the f pawns. And I decided to use my bishop to move to f6, and this move is only possible because black played g6, weakening the h6 square. And by this move I attack the bishop, I attack the f8 rook, which should move and should give up the control on the f-file. And maybe I can use it for future attacks. After bishop h8, the only move for black is rook fe8. And I won a tempo by this bishop h6 move, and now I decided to play bishop g5 with the idea now to threatening to capturing on g6, and after the exchange white attacks the f6 square with the rook and with the bishop, so and black defends only with the bishop. So now white is threatening to win a piece. Black decided to defend the knight, or save the knight. It's a better word because he could defend maybe with this knight, but then he would have already some problems after the exchange. After the exchanges, the e6 square would be weak, or after this exchange he could have a big problem after queen h4 to save the knight, and also now the e7 bishop can be in a big problem, and the f6 knight cannot move. So black decided to move the knight to d7, try to escape with the knight. And in this moment, I started to think very long, to use now my very well placed bishops. So bishops, the f1 rook and the h3 queen, to give the mate. I was thinking now, because of the f6 knight is no more defending the h7 square, maybe already I have a winning combination by somehow to breaking the position of the black king. So I was thinking, I was starting to think about sacrifices. In later analysis, I realized maybe the sacrifice was not the best move, but here the best move was to play very simply, to exchange on e7 the bishops, and then after knight b5, white should win the d6 pawn. If black wins the c4 pawn, then after knight d6, now white wins back the pawn. The b7 bishop and the queen is attacked. Black queen should go back to save it. And after the exchange of the pawns, white have a very strong move with queen h4, because the queen attacks the bishop, the rook on e7 and also the rook on d8, and it's very hard now for black to find a good defense, because the d6 knight is very strong. Also the d1 rook have a great power. The f1 rook plays very well, and also the b1 bishop is very powerful piece. So this would give a comfortable and very good position for white without any sacrifices. But I was really ready to give up material for my dream, so I was ready to invest to my dream. I decided here to capture on g6 with the simple idea to opening up diagonal for the bishop and also opening up 5 for the rook. And here immediately we can look, black cannot accept the g5 bishop, because then white would giving a mat, would give a mate in 3 moves, starting with queen takes h7, king f8, and now the combined power of the rook and the queen would give the mate. Because after rook takes f7, knight take f7, and queen takes f7 leads to a mate. So this is the first knight's mate, and this is the first position which was in my dream when I started to attack on the king side with f2, f4. Okay, but this is not realized because black was more careful, and he captured back on g6 with the h pawn. We can go back a little bit and we can look what happens if black captures with the f pawn. If black captures with the f pawn on g6, then this opens the diagonal of the king, which can be used by the queen. After queen e6 check, this is a simple double attack. White wins the bishop because the black king should move, example, to g7, and after that white can simply capture on e7, and following with bishop f6 wins the game. So this is the reason why it was not possible to capture back with the f pawn, and I looked, black can capture back only with the h pawn. And here again, how we look, the best move would be to play simply capturing on e7, and then to play knight b5 to get a very nice knight on d6, or immediately start with knight b5 and then capturing on d6. This would lead a better position for white, but here I decided to sacrifice pieces for a dream, and my first move on that road was capturing the g6 pawn with my bishop, because I was thinking what will happen now. If black capture back with the pawn, then I get again the e6 square for my queen, so I can continue with queen e6 check, and then when black moves to g7, I can capture on e7 and winning back the piece. Okay, now I am not a piece up, but I won a pawn, and also after bishop f6, I am still attacking his king, and with this attack and with the extra pawn, I think white should win easily. Also the d8 rook is hanging. So this would be simply position if black captures with the pawn, but black captured with the knight, and I calculated this move, and now I had the very nice idea to giving up as much as need for my dream. I decided to sacrifice my rook too for breaking the defense of the black king. So I played here rook capture on f7. Which could lead a very nice mate if black accept the sacrifice. If black would capture this with the king, then white can give a mate. I calculated this when I captured an f7. I would follow to play with queen h7 check, Now the black king has two choices to play to e6 or to f8. If queen f8, then I would give a simple mate with the bishop. And now you can look if enough the good cooperation of two pieces to give the mate. And it was good idea to sacrifice the other two pieces for this position. This would lead to a pretty mate. Or if the black king goes to e6, then the b3 knight can go to the center to help to realize the plan with knight d4. Black has only move king e5, and now white can continue with the silent move to simply play queen h3, threatening with queen f5 or queen e6 mates, and black cannot defend both of the moves, so one of the mates will be given. So example, if he defends, black defends one of the mates, example, defends the e6 square, then queen f5 gives the mate. If black defends the f5 square, then queen e6 gives the mate. So this was in my dream when I sacrificed the rook on f7, maybe to give this nice mates, and this could be a forever good game. But I also in my mind I had the possibility, and I calculated the right move could be for black to try to defend the position by bringing to the king side new pieces. So this move, the knight moves to f8. This is the best move to defend the h7 square, to preventing the queen h8 mate, and bringing new pieces and trying to exchange pieces. Black tried to exchange maybe the bishops and then tried to use the 7th rank to neutralize the attack of the f7 rook. I still calculated this move, and I decided to play here rook f1 because I should save the rook, the f7 rook, and my plan was to support the attack with queen h6 and then queen g8 mate. And I was looking, maybe I did not look if black can have any good defense, because look, this bishop cannot move because it's pinned, because c7 queen is hanging. Also, the other bishop has no good moves. I was thinking the queen also has no real moves to go closer to the queen side, because after queen h6 there is no way to defend the g7 square, because if the knight goes maybe to e6 to defend the g7 square, then the h7 square will be wide open for attack, so it would lead the mate. But unfortunately black had a strong move, and my opponent found it. He captured on c7, c4. And the idea, which is very important when you defend the position, when your opponent sacrificed already a pawn or maybe even a piece, then always your plan can be to giving back the material for a good position. So, example, you giving back material for exchanging pieces, and maybe you get a better endgame. With the material equal position, you get a better endgame. But that's also good if you prevent the mates, or if you have a piece advantage, maybe you can sacrifice back 2 pawns, and even you will still have a 1 pawn advantage, and you can win in the endgame. So you should be ready to giving back material, and very important after this game, which I studied from this game, I should be very careful when I attack to look the possibilities of the opponent. He may give back material to save the position and to stop my attack. Because after this queen move, black is threatening to capture on f7, to giving up the queen for 2 rooks, and that would be very painful for white because those two rooks are very important in the attack. Without those rooks, white has not enough piece for attack. And later then with two rooks and with the bishop, black would have a big material advantage. And later maybe in the endgame he can win. So here I was in a big trouble what to do. If I continue my plan with queen h6, then black simply captured the rook. Black captures the rook and I should capture back. He captures with the king on f7. And here I was thinking maybe I can exchange the bishops and maybe can bring the knight there to support my attack. So with the knight and with the queen, I can create counterplay, continue to attack. But later I realized black has very good moves to prevent the attack. So he can play like this rook d7 to get control on the 7th rank. And later play rook e5, controlling important squares near the king. And there is no real attack now. I can play knight f5, which I looked, but after giving a check for bringing, the king should come to f2, and then after rook e5, it's returning to capture with check on f5, and there will be no more attack. I can give it one more check, but after king e8, it's already in big trouble. White is in big trouble. His king, his queen, and also the knight is hanging. So black will win the knight. And then he has too much pieces against the queen. So this was one possibility what I could do. I can get this position, and then black has two rooks and the bishop, and I have a queen and the pawn. So black has material advantage, and I try to maybe to advance the h-pawn to create some tricks, but long term it would be very good for black. But after this move, queen h6, the only move for black would be to capture f7 to preventing the mate. But I was thinking maybe I can get another move. I decided to play knight d2 when he is not forced to capturing on f7. So I did not want to force him to get that good endgame. I wanted to give him the possibility. Maybe he go to another line, which is also preventing the mates, but not exchanging the queen for the rooks. I wanted to give him the possibility to play this, which he played in the game. So this was also a good move, but this gave me possibilities. He gave this check by attacking also my knight, and maybe he could play queen h8 to defend against the mate. I played bishop e3 to attack his queen and also defending the check, and he played queen h4, which again a good move to offering the exchange of the pieces. It's a very good method to defend the position. Try to exchange of the opponent attacking pieces, which is a good for black, but surely I should prevent it. So I played queen h5, queen f5, and had in mind some tricks. Maybe I could play rook g8, and then the queen comes to f7, and maybe there will be some attack again. Maybe I can realize my original vision to give the mate. So after this move, black played bishop c8, which looked logical in the first view, but this is a mistake. How we will look, because this gives the possibility for another nice sacrifice. If the white queen should move, then it would be a very good move for black, because then, example, if I would move back the queen, then he can play bishop e6 or knight e5, and that would be a very nice position. But now there is a nice possibility for a sacrifice again, which I calculated, and I played against this bishop c8, which is a blunder. I captured on f8 because now I captured the defender of the g6 knight, and if the knight, so if any other piece is captured back, then I can capture the knight on g6, and then I don't have, in this position before this, black had a piece advantage, but if I can get the two knights for the rook, then also black will have only an exchange advantage. But after capturing, if he captures back with the knight, then I would give the check, and then my plan was to play rook f4, and this is very important move, attacking the queen, and with the idea to play bishop d4, and the black king has no escape. So when he realized this idea, he captured back with the rook on f8, but this was not a help in the position, because I could capture on g6 with the queen. He has the only move king h8, and now also we are very close of the realization of my original vision, of my original dream, to giving the mate for the black king. Because you look, the black king has no more defending pawns, and also the black king has no more space to move. So I need only one more check, and that would be a mate. And I wanted to give that check with the bishop from d4. That was the idea of coming back with the bishop from g5. But the h4 queen is still preventing that check. So I decided to block that rank, the fourth rank, with the knight. So I played knight e4 to block that important rank, and threatening to play bishop d4. And I should also be careful about the opponent plans, because if I would play with the other knight, then it's very interesting. He could capture on f1, I should capture back with the king, and now black would be the faster. So black would have a very good position. He could give the check with the bishop, and now my king can be in trouble. The only move to come back to g1, and then the black would give the mate. It's very tricky. If I would move the knight to prevent the mate, then black can play rook f8 to give him the check and to continue the attack. Again, plan to give the mate on queen a1 if I move the queen. I should go back with the knight to defend, but after bishop f6, black defended everything, and he's on the attack, so black has a better position. So very important to be careful about the opponent moves, opponent plans, to prevent the counterplay. So I decided to play knight e4 because I calculated how was in the game also. If black captures on f1, he moved this, then I would capture back with the knight to prevent the checks. So there is no bishop a6 check when it's possible when I capture back with the king. And after this move, there is no more defense against the bishop d4 move. So my opponent realized this and gave up the position, so he resigned. Because if bishop, example bishop f6, then I simply capture with the knight. And with the two pieces, with the two knights against the rook, it would be a simple win. Okay, so in this game I showed you the realization of vision, the realization how to give the mate from that position, and we looked how I started first winning space with the pawns, and then going to exchange the pawns, to getting new open files and new diagonals for the pieces, and then we looked some sacrifices, which was the last step to make the black king naked, and then I can give the mate at the last position. I hope you can use these ideas maybe in your games, in these similar openings or in under similar type of positions, and also the methods of how to building up the plan. Thank you for your participating in this lecture, and I wish you very nice games, and see you in another video presentations. Bye bye.